why don't we put those beautiful marks into action? And I thought a wreath, a watercolour wreath, would be really pretty to practice all those different size leaves and maybe a few flowers. And I've got, this is Cardi paper, and it's handmade, and it's 320 grams, which is just over 140 pounds. I've got green gold, just ordinary sap green, and this is perylene green, and then that's cobalt green. That was a bit of lemon yellow that was just lurking there, that's got some blue in it. Cobalt blue, phthalo blue, and a turquoise. And if I can't make something pretty out of there, I should be shot. I've just sort of very lightly put in a circle in pencil just to make it vaguely circular. And I'm going to start just as we did before with some foliage, and this is the green gold, and I'm going to start with some lovely leaves with my point, press and pull, point, press and pull, I could turn it round if that makes it more comfortable for me to work. I'm not trying, oops, that's quite a thick stalk, but we're not going to panic. Don't want it all to be super symmetrical. This is more textured than the paper that I originally was using for the practice. I guess it would have been sensible to use the same paper. So I've put another slightly larger, more spaced out one, and I'm going to use a different green, and again I'm going to put some little leaves on. And just let the brush, just let the brush do all the work. If it does break up like it here and now you're not happy, then while it's wet you can easily go back in, but actually maybe a bit of that texture is rather lovely. I'm going to turn it round just to make life a little easier, and then on this one I'm putting some sap green. I'm all the time saying in my head, point, press, pull, or here at the bottom, line, and then going away to make different size ones, because I don't want it all to be the same size, and I don't want it all to be symmetrical. If I keep rotating like this would be a rather nice way of working, because say it's so hot today that everything is drying very quickly. Not that that's a problem, we are happy. Oops. Now if you do one wrong, you will probably be focused on the one that isn't great, but this isn't a wreath, and by the time it's all together, do you know what, you're just not going to see it. And this I started with sap green, so I might use that lovely green gold just as a slightly different order. It's very meditative. Is that a word? Meditative. Because you're doing each part with just a single stroke, and you're really in the moment concentrating on those strokes. Very calming way of painting. If you've had a rough day, doing a painting like this will really calm you down. I think it'd be nice to put in some bigger leaves, so I'm going to grab some of that cobalt green, and same brush stroke but curved. Don't like that leaf, but I'm not going to panic. Just going to take my own advice of leaving it alone, and then let's go back. And I think we might come off here, so in that colour but just a bit smaller. I'm just making it up as I go along, so we've got some different leaves and things forming our wreath. It's very absorbent, this paper, but there is a saying that you cannot paint without paint. Let's grab some of that turquoise and put some turquoise leaves on top. Oh, that's a gorgeous colour. And here I'm overlapping some of them. Now all the time I'm using this cheapy brush, and it is shedding hair, so I'm just noticing that little hair. And rather than getting annoyed with it, I'm just enjoying the meditation and just pull that off. Oh, this is so nice to do after such a hot and busy day. But it'd be nice if that overlap there. That's still wet, so it's merging, but actually a little wet in wet is rather lovely. You can see that I didn't rotate the paper for this, so you don't have to at all. I've got some, ooh, what colour shall I use next? I'm going to go for that really dark Perylene green. Now this is the one that I just worked on, so some of that will still be wet. But the green, and because it's dark, just gives such a pop to it, doesn't it? Put a few more of those darks in. That's a bit clunky, isn't it, there? But I'm not going to get upset about it because I don't want anything to upset this. I won't put any more dark in the moment. I wondered about putting some flowers over here, because we saw that we could do slightly fatter and come to a point, and perhaps we could do, what do you reckon, maybe 5 petals on these flowers, and then maybe put that dark in the middle. And then I've got some phthalo blue here, so maybe we could put a different blue flower, and they don't have to be perfect. I'm just going to put some green in the middle there, and it'd be great if they all started to overlap. What other blue? Oh, I've got that lovely turquoise. This is still a little bit wet, so this will be a bit softer. Is that a problem? I don't think so. Quite fancy having a good dark in the middle there. This is quite wet, so I'm just going to do that. Let's put, come on, we'll have a, make sure that they've all got the same number of petals on, so it's more of a push coming to a point so that we get a better petal shape, if you remember that. And then so more of a push, come to the point, push, come to the point. Now what else are we going to do, because I really want to try this brush, and I think we need some more big shapes maybe, and more little shapes, so we're really going to vary the size between these small leaves, smallish flowers. We've got a few bigger leaves, so what about, I know, why don't we use this small brush and then have another branch, so finer branch, and with different size leaves coming off. That's quite nice. Let's do different colour leaves. So it's just the same brush stroke, but they come off and they're just a bit smaller. So let's come round here And you can see why practicing both directions of the brush stroke is so useful for being confident, both pushing and pulling. I think I'd like a few blue flowers down here. So again, I'm pushing and pulling to that middle, just letting it all overlap, and then just putting some extra dark in that centre. So push, just have a little flower down there. I think maybe some berries might be nice. So this cobalt green. What about, now we've been practicing that brush mark, but we can do rounds, of course we can. Oh, I like that little spiral. Didn't mean to do that, but the joy of watercolour, if you get a mark that you rather like, even if it's by mistake, just repeat it until you know, learn from what's going on. So actually those little spirals are rather fun. I think it would almost be nice to have like a lavender sort of flower. So they are like little overlappy leaf shapes. Like that would be interesting. Let's vary the colour, and that might need a stem. Wonder if we, is that dry? No, maybe not quite dry. I'd quite like one of those down here. That's just quite nice. I want one over here, but I think maybe some of that's a little bit wet. And I don't particularly like that leaf, so we can disguise. So that's all dry, and I think what it needs is some bigger shapes. So I've got a really watery mix of a mid-green, and I'm going to be brave and do bigger shapes just straight over the top in one layer. Not sure I like that. Just pull some of it together. Probably avoid going over the flowers. Make sure I've loaded enough. I think I'm going to have to go over the flowers. Just to make sure that the balance of it was okay. This is always the point where you want to do less rather than more, but I'm just going to bring a little bit of that flower forward. Maybe that one too, just because they've got lost. And then I think it needs, maybe I could have some fun with a little bit of the Prussian blue. See, I told you this sheds hair. Look, another one goes. And just, oops, that was a nasty shape one. Because it's dark, it shows. So a little bit there. Maybe a little bit there. And a bit here. When you get to this point, take it easy, because you will be probably tired from the concentration, and such a shame to spoil it at this point. So just take it easy. Remember, we are meditating on our painting. We're enjoying this, and I'm just thinking that I would like another, almost a shape like that, but in that lovely green gold. And then I think we want some very fine marks. So maybe just a few fine marks with that lovely cobalt green, sort of almost like little spikes off some here, just to give the feeling of detail. I'm not putting in veins on leaves because that's just not this style, is it? Could just put a few random ones. They don't have to be joined to anything, do they? Just echo those little twirly whirly marks that I rather liked. So really using the tip and just putting a few here and there to balance things up. Let's just turn it round, check that we're happy. A few tiny touches of that gorgeous green gold, just to perk things up. So there's our wreath. We've done all those marks, just making our brush work for us, using the point and the belly to get beautiful, simple one-stroke marks. We've let the colours play and mix and just been in the moment to enjoy the pattern, and yet we will have learnt so much brush control. You could repeat this with different colours and different shapes. I think it'd be lovely to have a little more contrast, say in the flowers, or you could use totally different colours and make it into a Christmas holiday wreath with red berries, and instead of having these fat shapes we could have more sort of pine leaf type shapes. There's an infinite number of possibilities.